Assalamu alaikum. We're going to be continuing reading the book al-Ajwabah al-Jaliyyah fi al-Ahkam al-Hanbaliyyah, or the clear answer in Hanbali Rulings, by Shaykh Musa bin Issa al-Qaddoomi rahimahullah. Let us begin. This will be lesson number 35, and we'll be looking at the Udhiyya, or the slaughter, the prohibited times of prayer, and some manners of the Quran. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Allahumma anfa'na bima 'allamtana wa 'allamna bima yanfa'una wa zidna 'ilman wa yaqinan wa fahman ya Rabbil Alameen. قال المؤلف rahimahullah نفع الله به وبعلومه ومعلوم مشايخنا في الدارين آمين. 78. What is the ruling of Udhiyya, or the slaughter? And before we answer this, Shaykhuna Dr. Mustafa, he said with regarding this book, it is a superior order that this comes after the book of al-Hajj, or we can say at the end of it. Allahu alam, we don't want to put anything down with our author, Shaykh al-Qaddoomi, but I think in most of the books, this section is coming at the end of the book of al-Hajj. Shaykhuna al-Qaddoomi rahimahullah, obviously he thought it's of benefit to be here, but that can be debatable. With regard to the Udhiyya, one might argue it could be better to be in the book of al-Hajj, because there, according to the type of al-Hajj you're performing, doing the Udhiyya could be something that is obligatory, whereas if we're talking about the Udhiyya that is related with al-Eid, it is a sunnah. Allah knows best. So the author then replies, Udhiyya, and in parentheses, Qurbani, or sacrifice, is a sunnah mu'akkada, like an emphasized sunnah. He goes on, acceptable Udhiyya is a year-old goat, or a 6-month-old lamb, or a 2-year-old cow or buffalo, or a 5-year-old camel. Its timing is after the Eid prayer until the 2nd day of Tashriq, meaning the 12th of Dhul Hijjah. So, one benefit that we can get from Sharh of Daleel of Daleel a-Talib is that regarding the Udhiyya, what is superior is a camel, and then a cow, and then a sheep. What is other than these 3 animals does not count. And I think we can deduct from what we've already read that the buffalo is basically considered as a cow. Now, if you're intending to slaughter for your family, a single sheep suffices for someone, his immediate family and dependents. And this is according to what Saleh, the son of Al-Imam Ahmed, has said to his father, where he asked, is slaughtering a sheep for the people of the household sufficient? And he said, yes, there's nothing wrong with it. And that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam slaughtered 2 sheep and said, Bismillah, Allahumma هذا عن محمد وآل بيته. So when he slaughtered the sheep, he said, Bismillah, oh Allah, this is for Muhammad and the people of his house. And if you're a group of people, not like a family or family independence, for example, the camel or the cow will suffice for 7 individuals. It is sunnah that if one is slaughtering a camel, that it be done while the camel is standing and its left foot is like tied up. And if one is slaughtering a cow or a sheep, it is sunnah that it be done while on its left side and facing the Qibla. It is wajib, obligatory, that when one is actually doing the slaughtering, meaning moving the hand with the knife, that he say Bismillah. It is liked for one to also say Allahu Akbar and then say Allahumma hadha minka wa laka. So, oh Allah, this is from you and for you. If one only says the Bismillah, it is not the superior thing to do, but it counts, it is sufficient. The time of the slaughter, and we're talking about the slaughter that's related to the Eid, is after the Eid prayer is performed in that whatever location it is, or after its approximate time if one has not attended the prayer. Any type of Eid prayer, Eid slaughter, that is slaughtered before the Eid prayer does not count. Next, and one more thing. I remember Shaykhana, Dr. Mustafa, he mentioned this, but with regards to its ending time, the author here said its timing is after the Eid prayer until the second day of Tashriq, meaning the 12th. Just to note that this is different than the Shafi'i opinion, which you may hear may be a popular opinion that goes and extends until the 3rd day. So just to differentiate this, because it could be something that you come across. So next, we'll go to the next section here, prohibited times of prayer. Question 79, in which times is salat prohibited and not prohibited? Yeah, I'm looking now at the Arabic. This is a mistake either in the translation or printing, but it should say, what time is the salah prohibited and not valid? So the author replies, the prohibited times of nafil are 3. A. From the start of the second fajr, i.e. true dawn, until the sun has risen a spear length according to eyesight. B. After Salat al-Asr, even if joined with a dhuhr, in the time of dhuhr until sunset. C. When the sun is at its zenith until it declines. Zenith is the zawal. I was looking for this word before. And the author goes on, an exception to this is the sunnahs of Fajr, 2 rakas of Tawaf, and the sunnahs of Dhuhr after the Asr for someone who joins Dhuhr and Asr prayers. Another exception is if following a Jama'ah, group prayer, which has started in the masjid and one has already prayed that Salah. So one good benefit, I like how the author has explained it here, regarding the time of the Fajr, so the true dawn, when the sun has risen. I think we've explained the times of prayers earlier, but we're talking here now the actual sunrise. This, we're talking about a specific time when something happens, when the sun has started to actually rise above the horizon. This is the time that it is prohibited. Whereas the prohibition that's related with the Asr prayer is not related to a specific time, i.e. movement of the sun, identifying the time according to movement of the sun, but the performing of the Asr prayer itself. So this is a good example that the Asr prayer is joined with Dhuhr. So you're praying the Asr out of its time. You're praying the Asr prayer in the time of a Dhuhr prayer. Even when you do this, then the time after you finish the Asr prayer, you are now starting into the time that prayer is prohibited. So one of the hot topics of this issue is the Tahiyat al-Masjid prayer. You know, the 2 rak'ahs that you should pray when you enter a masjid. There's a lot of debate, you know, if we can pray them during these prohibited times, and according to our madhab, no, you would just sit down. I believe the Shafi'is have another opinion, but according to us, this Tahiyat al-Masjid would not be performed during the prohibited time, with the exception if the Tahiyat al-Masjid was being prayed on a Friday, when you know, and you're praying the Tahiyat al-Masjid before the Friday prayer. And on this issue of when a second communal prayer is being offered. So for example, maybe the best example might be like, you know, the Asr prayer has been performed in the masjid. You've prayed the Asr prayer. So now technically, as we said, the prohibited time is linked to the time of the prayer. So after you've prayed Asr, you're now in the prohibited time. But then if a second jama'ah were to come, you could still pray with them. And in fact, Shaykhana Dr. Mustafa, he said it's yustahab, it's preferred or recommended that one prays again with them. And also to clarify here, in case it's not understood, but any time that you are doing qada, makeup of an fard prayer, one of the obligatory prayers, you can do this at any time of the day, even in the prohibited times. So whatever the reason for the qada, you have missed the prayer. You prayed the prayer and then realized whatever, you weren't in wudu, or you know, there was some problem. Anytime you have to make up an obligatory prayer, one of the 5 prayers, you do this at any time. You don't worry about, oh, this is the prohibited time. Prohibited time does not affect these type of prayers. Now also, if we talk about the other exceptional prayers, we said that Tahiyat al-Masjid, greeting the masjid, is not in the exceptions. This is just according to the ijtihad in the madhab, but a type of prayer that one could pray, would be valid to pray during this time, would be the prayer that one has made an oath to pray. So one could pray that prayer even during the prohibited time, and it's mentioned in Daleel a-Talib saying even if the person vowed to do it at that time. Allah knows best. And now finally, there's a short section in Daleel a-Talib regarding the manners of reciting the Quran. This is not something that is obviously covered in the book that we're reading, but it's a short section, and I thought I would just read it here because already we're having a bit of a shorter lesson here, and I think it's of great benefit because inshallah we're reading the Quran every day. So it says in Sharh of Daleel of Daleel a-Talib, it is permissible to recite the Quran while standing, while sitting, while moving on transport, while walking. One may do it while in the road. One may recite the Quran even if they are in a state of minor ritual impurity, meaning they need to make al-wudu, even if they have some type of najasa or impurity on their garment or their body or even their mouth. And the last issue is specifically mentioned by Ibn Muflih in Kitab al-Furu', although Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, he said that the superior thing is not to do it. And there is also consensus, scholarly consensus, that memorizing the Quran is a fard kifaya. I think you remember we discussed, I think the last dars, what's fard kifaya, a communal obligation. This is opposed to fard ayn, a personal or individual obligation. So as a community, it is an obligation by scholarly consensus to memorize the Quran. But this memorization is actually according to specifically what is required for salah. And then a-Taghlabi says then it is wajib or obligatory upon him after that to memorize what is needed for knowledge and religious issues. And then there is a kind of disagreement after that. Would it be superior to memorize the rest of the Quran or then to occupy with other beneficial sciences? So there are two possibilities. I mean, obviously we need both of them, and Allah knows best. And finally, it is sunnah to read from the Mus'haf and to finish the Quran every 2 weeks. And there's no problem if it's every 3 weeks, but it is disliked to do it beyond 4 weeks. So this is a good reminder for us. Many of us may only complete reciting the Quran in a month during Ramadan. So we should strive to do this. We should be spending less time on social media and I don't know what other kind of things people do, play video games. We really need to be putting more emphasis and effort into reciting the Quran, to follow this sunnah, and to remember that it is disliked not to be completing the Quran in 4 weeks or more. So may Allah guide us and excuse our negligence. Ameen. So that's the end of our supplementary section from Sharh of Daleel from Daleel a-Talib. As always, don't forget us and our brothers and sisters in your dua. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een.